Hi, it's me again with Corel Drill Tips and Tricks, and this is part 2 of building this ring holder. And without having the actual rings in my possession, I don't know how far these need to be spaced apart, but we're going to make these little shelves, and I'm going to make them 0.75 deep and maybe 2.5 inches long. Because without having the rings actually in my possession, kind of see what it's going to look like. That's going to look pretty good. Now you want to round off just the front 2 corners because you want a flat edge along the back. That's very easily done. Let's zoom in here. Grab your rectangle, and with this unlocked, let's type in 0.5 and 0.5. That looks pretty good. You could actually go a little bit more. Let's go 0.75 by 0.75, and this is where you would just pick what you want to do. And that's going to work. We'll probably have one below the shelf and one in the shelf. Now, since we've already got this one made, you could grab the Smart Fill tool, and that'll be the same size rectangle as you had before. That's going to be our tab. Now for this, we're going to move this out of the way for a second, and we're going to put this in the center of the page. That's why I like working in the center of the page. And then you could hit P and put that in the center of the page and move it up. Now, like before, we're going to have a little bit short. We're going to set our nudge factor to 0.001, and we're going to move this guy up just so it's on the other side of that line. This is your thickness of your wood. Now we're going to change our nudge factor to 1 inch and move it over, see what it looks like. That's pretty good. So let's put it back in the center, Control D and move it over. Take this one, Control D, or just move it over. Now with this, you could actually weld them together. I get away from welding sometimes. But before we do that, we want this shape again. Control D. We need that. So weld this together. Now we actually need 2 of these, so we're going to Control D and make a duplicate. Now, without having the rings in there, this one should be in the center. So let's cut a slot for the ring, and this is where you're just going to have to test on a piece of wood the thickness and the width of the ring. That's probably way too big, but for the video, that's probably good. And then I would nudge them over 1/2 inch. Control D and make a duplicate. Control D and make a duplicate. Whoop. Now that might be a little bit, something didn't work. Let me erase this one. Let me hit Control D, move it over. Let's tell you what, let's just move it over 1/4 inch. And then hit that one. That way the rings will, maybe a little bit more, but without having the rings in my hand, let's move it over 0.1 over again. That looks pretty good. Now on the top shelf, you just need this. On the bottom shelf is what's going to stop the rings. So we're going to weld all this together. See, that's why I don't use the weld tool a lot. You never know really what you're going to get. Virtual segment delete key, you know what you're going to, or Smart Fill tool, you know what you're going to get. Now this is all one piece. So let's delete that one. Now, let's move these out of the way for a second. Let's bring in our drawing back to the center of the page. Now we're going to do our top one first. So I'm going to hit P, put it in the center of the page. And we're going to do the same thing we did before. I'm holding down the control button. So we want that first one about right there. And then we're going to bring in this, our rectangle shape. And I'm going to make a duplicate and move it down. We're actually going to need 4 of them. I messed that up. Control D, Okay, we got 4 of them now. And this is where it would have been a lot better if I had nudged them perfectly. So let's move this down to this line. And I think we moved them 1 inch over. So we need no, we moved them 2 inches. Or, no, 1 inch over. I had 0.1. See, that puts it right where it needs to be. Control D, and then nudge it twice. That did that one. Now let's nudge this guy out of the way. And we're going to put the next shelf down, holding down the control button. And we're going to put it like right there. We do not know the height of the rings. So the height of your rings would be this holes. It actually didn't need 4 of those. But we're going to do the same thing. Put P, bring it down to that level, and nudge it over that 1 inch. Control D and nudge it over 2 inches back. Now we can move this out of the way. We didn't actually end up needing these. And that's probably a little bit too close to the edge, but not really. It's not supporting any weight. So there are your pieces for your ring holder. You've got 4 pieces. This piece is going to sit in top of here to be your ring. Now you could do it some engraving like they have here in the pictures, and there's plenty of videos on how to put that shape onto a curve. Put the people's name, the date. Pretty ironic. This is a wedding which is a couple of months ago. But that's how I would do it. I don't like the way my heart looks, down here. There's a lot you could do with that, play around. But I would do this at first before you mess it up. That looks a little bit better. Anyway, that's how I would do it. Now, if you're going to still want to use 1/4 inch wood, just make this, instead of 0.125, make it a 1/4 by 1/4. And then just glue all this together. Sand everything first. This doesn't look like it was sanded very good. They're using plywood. And I think he's going to use alder. But that's the way it's going to look. I hope that helped him a little bit. Thank you for watching.